Herman Cain accused once again, this time publicly.
I respected him, I looked up to him, and it just was shocking to me that he would use that power in such a way.
We find the defendant, Conrad Robert Murray, guilty of the crime of involuntary manslaughter.
A jury agrees this man's actions or inaction led to the King of Pop's death. We'll hear from Michael Jackson's family. A rough few days for Oklahoma, earthquakes, and now tornadoes, plus how one storm chaser's quest to capture cool video ended. Your Independent News Network starts right now. Hello everyone, I'm Mike Bickle. Welcome to INN News. Herman Cain is having to defend himself against a fourth allegation of sexual harassment. Sharon Bialak claims Cain groped her after a dinner in 1997 after she'd been laid off from the National Restaurant Association's Education Foundation. Cain was head of the association at that time. She says her teen son played a big role in her decision to speak out.
And actually the night before that I was about to do this, I called him. He was with his dad, and I said, Nick, what do you think I should do? Because he knew about this. He had heard me speaking to Gloria, and he said, what do you think I should do? And he said, Mom, and he's 13. He said, you have to do the right thing. I think you need to tell on him. And that's out of the mouth of a 13-year-old. So that confirmed it for me.
3 other women have also made claims. Cain denies the accusations.
When you know that all of this is totally fabricated, you go from anger, then you get disgusted.
Celebrity attorney Gloria Allred is representing the latest accuser. Now to the verdict we've been waiting weeks for.
We, the jury in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Conrad Robert Murray, guilty of the crime of involuntary manslaughter.
November 2000.
A jury finding Dr. Conrad Murray guilty in the King of Pop's death. Murray claimed Jackson took that final lethal dose himself of propofol. Jackson's family expressed their happiness over the verdict.
Justice was served, yes.
Thank you, America. Thank all the fans. Thank the prosecuting team. Walgreen, you were great. Everybody was wonderful.
Murray's now being held in a single cell under suicide watch. He will remain there until sentencing later this month. He could get up to 4 years in prison. Well, the Sooner State would soon like things to return to normal after a very rocky few days of earthquakes and tornadoes. This is video from last night. This is Tillman County in southwestern Oklahoma, where tornadoes formed ahead of a cold front. Forecasters say this twister had winds of more than 100 miles per hour, but it didn't cause any damage. A storm chaser got into an accident chasing a funnel cloud in that area. The driver was following this possible twister in Tipton when the car flipped over. The accident was apparently due to mechanical failure. At least 2 possible tornadoes were spotted in that area. As tornado warnings were issued, more aftershocks were felt in central Oklahoma last night. They're still cleaning up from Saturday's 5.6 magnitude earthquake. The quake lasted a minute and caused some damage. A natural disaster overseas is proving more deadly. A controversial C-section ruling in another country, and the secret to living 106 in our Global News Now. The death toll is nearing 40 after a weekend landslide in central Colombia. Dozens of others are still missing. Heavy rains triggered the landslide, which buried homes. Red Cross volunteers are helping those families that now have nowhere to live. Firefighters are working hard to contain this forest fire in the Carpathian woods of Romania. It's now burning out of control. So far, though, no reports of deaths or structural damage. Pregnant women in Britain will soon be able to request a government-paid C-section instead of a natural birth. Before, a C-section was only allowed when there was a medical reason or emergency. Some women prefer them because they are less painful and mothers can have control over their delivery date. But critics say the procedure is risky and too costly for the government to pick up. An Australian man knows the recipe for good health and a long life. He just celebrated his 106th birthday. Alf Date says you just have to laugh a lot.
Who wants to live to be 106? It's a shocking age, 106. I woke up this morning and I thought, oh, good heavens, I'm an old man.
He sure doesn't live like one. Alf is still at home making most of his own meals, and he walks to the shops once a week. That's your Global News Now. Well, police in Maryland are looking for two crooks who pulled off an unthinkable crime. They stole cookie money from the Girl Scouts. Kristen Fisher has more.
Girl Scout cookies, they're yummy for your tummy, yum!
Just look at them. How could you steal from Girl Scouts? But it happened right here outside this Walmart in Bowie.
I was kind of worried.
6-year-old Amelia Phillips is worried because she's selling cookies in the exact same spot where another Girl Scout troop was robbed last week.
I was, outraged, angry.
Bowie Police Chief John Neske is now looking for these two men caught on surveillance cameras inside the Walmart.
Suspect 1, after he asked how much the cookies were, he grabbed the cash box and started running away with it.
The Girl Scout troop leader that was out here took off after the suspect, but then she was approached by someone that she thought was a good Samaritan who said, "Don't worry, I'll chase him." But it turns out that was actually the second suspect, and both ran off into the woods.
I would run after them and try to get it back.
Now, Amelia wasn't there that day, so thieves got away with about $200 worth of Girl Scout cookie money.
You just have to say that's the world we live in. There's some good people in the world and there's some bad people in the world, and we're trying to raise good girls in the Girl Scouts.
But the same can't be said for the two thieves, or as they're now being called, the Cookie Monsters.
Don't steal the Girl Scout cookies because it's a rule for the Girl Scouts to not let the money get stolen. Give us back the Girl Scout money.
Well, speaking of thievery, Bernie Madoff is having a movie made about him. Robert De Niro is going to portray him. It will air on HBO. The film is in early development. Madoff is serving a 150-year sentence for cheating investors out of billions of dollars. The teen heartthrob known for singing Baby is setting out to prove he's not going to be a daddy. He's taking a paternity test to put claims to rest he fathered a baby boy with a 20-year-old California woman. She says the two had sex during a brief backstage encounter at his LA concert last October. And Baby makes 20. Michelle and Jim Bob Duggar, the stars of TLC's 19 Kids and Counting, are expecting again. The Arkansas couple says the baby is due in April. The Duggars already have 19 kids. The oldest is 23. Their youngest is almost 2. Well, we've all waited during that 4-hour window for the cable guy to show up. Coming up, just how much that wait is costing our country. Plus the game so many of you have been waiting for, the allure of Modern Warfare 3. And put down the game controller and grab a telescope. There's something pretty cool to see in outer space tonight. These stories and more when INN returns.